everybody. Welcome to Friday, and let's talk NFL head coaching opportunities. As we talked about last week, and my number two overall job was filled, which just happened to be my very own beloved Carolina Panthers. They hired Frank Reich. Yes, the guy that started the first three football games in Panthers history. And I'm kind of above board on it. I'm not exactly thrilled. That would have been the Ben Johnson hire, but I'm not exactly upset about it. So, yeah, I'm enthusiastic, but a little tepid. So let's get done with the big, huge stink of the ring here. So the Panthers didn't hire Steve Wilkes, and I mean, in literally minutes after Wright got hired, Wilkes' lawyers set out a thing saying they were going to sue Carolina over systemic racism, which is just a horrible look. It's just a horrible look because I mean, let's look at Frank Reich. Okay, let's do that first. Carolina initial player again started the first three games for him. NFL head coaching experience. He's 40, 33, and 1. He's had five starting quarterbacks his 5 seasons at Indianapolis, and let's just say the talent in Indianapolis has dropped. 3 years ago, they had very good roster, but the GM last couple of years has really failed them. Nobody is looking at Frank Reich as, oh my gosh, that's just a horrible hire. Who else has interviewed Steve Wilkes? Maybe he's putting all of his eggs in the Panthers basket, but still, nobody is exactly saying Frank Reich, well, that hiring came out of left field. So let's look at it this way. He's got ties to the Carolina organization. His brother still coaches in Carolina, one of the colleges there. His daughter just started working there and in the marketing department. So, yeah, Frank Reich was probably going to be, this is one of our people coming home. And to tell you the truth, I'm okay with it. And let's just say offensive coaches are who are getting the head coaching jobs. Look at the Final Four this weekend. Every single one of them is offensive. Look at last weekend. Sean McDermott was the only one that wasn't an offensive guy. And you saw what happened with his defense. Ooh, Lordy. So I kind of don't blame Carolina for going offensive because, as I said last week, Carolina historically has been stuck in the 1970s. I want a power running game. I want to play good defense. I want nice, tight games. It's not the way the NFL is anymore. We want exciting offensive football. Let's look at how Carolina's hired. Dom Capers, first head coach, defensive coordinator, Pittsburgh. Seifert, defensive guy, from the Niners. John Fox, defensive guy, Giants. Ron Rivera, do you see a pattern here? Even the two intern coaches they've got, Perry and Wilkes, both defensive coaches. The only offensive minds they have ever hired as a head coach is Matt Rule, and he played linebacker. So, yeah, that's not exactly Sean Payton here. Not exactly Jim Harbaugh here. They're all defensive guys, primarily. So let's flip this over to Steve Wilkes. Again, love the guy. Thought he was a really good coach. Wouldn't exactly have hurt my feelings for him to come back as defensive coordinator, but I think that ship has sailed, thanks to his lawyer. But watching the Bucs game, wasn't exactly impressed. Watching the Saints game, wasn't exactly enthusiastic. What, especially if you listen to like Bill Simmons or several other people that watch football, what is the big thing they keep talking about with the Niners game, or excuse me, the KC game? Not letting Kelsey catch 14 passes this week. Got out coached, got outplayed. One guy just kept beating you. Okay, did you see the Tampa game? One guy beat the snot out of the Carolina secondary, and I'll come back to that. But to me, that's a coaching issue. When you got Mike Evans just running rampant, and you keep seeing the same guys around them not doing anything, they're not adjusting at all with a playoff spot on the line, yeah, that's a coaching issue in my mind. So let's look at Wilkes, who has been here for a very long time, who has coached the Carolina defense for a very long time and has had monster successes this year. Oh, no, wait. He hasn't even been there a year. Think about it. I mean, it's not like he's been there for a decade and has been waiting for his chance. He hasn't even been here a calendar year yet. And I mean, come on now. It's not like he's been there and he's worked every job. He's worked his way up to defensive coordinator because he hasn't. All respect to Wilkes, but it's not like he started as a voluntary assistant and worked his way to defensive head coach or defensive coordinator and then associate head coach. Take what you will from football rankings. I mean, yes, it's a team game. We talked about how much quarterbacks are so much fun. But PPF had the Carolina secondary, or PFF, had the Carolina secondary ranked as the 15th. And again, this is what Wilkes is for. 15th before the year started. How'd they end up? Well, let's look at the final PFF grades. For our secondary, other than J.C. Horn, I'm going to kind of toss him out. Every other cornerback was ranked out of the top 100. And do keep in mind, PFF only rated 122 cornerbacks. So the other three was ranked higher than 100. I mean, really? Let's take a look at the safeties. All of them. The top ranked was Xavier Woods, 58th out of 89. The other two were 79th and 84th. So it's not exactly like he made the safeties just awesome. And again, going into the season, they were supposed to be top. This was supposed to be a 15th ranked secondary. Do you see a problem here yet? What do we do with Wilkes? Again, I don't think you can bring him back. Not after his lawyer's hissy fit. But I do think that Frank Reich does have a bit of a job in front of him. But the roster's got a lot there. And we'll talk about draft as we come up to it. But obviously you need a good defensive mind. You need a bright defensive mind. And I find it kind of stunning that in a profession that makes more black millionaires, and I'm not the one that's first said this, makes more black millionaires than almost any other industry, this is still a problem. Had Kellen Moore got the job, yes, I would have wanted Wilkes over that. Had Ben Johnson got the job, I'd take Ben Johnson. To me, out of the finalists that were granted, Steve Wilkes was third, just because of how the locker room loved him. And I'd be fine with that. I'm fine with giving Wilkes a couple jobs. But the problem is, when his lawyers put out things like that, what would we have done if Wilkes had won 4 games next year? Because the offense, again, completely fell apart. Because he didn't fix that. How would we have done had he gone 3-14 and gotten fired? How would the snow have been then? Because he won 3 games in Arizona. So you kind of have a problem. It's like, do you hire the young one and give him a couple of years to try? Do you hire the retread and hope he works out? I mean, it's not like Lovie Smith. Nobody thought Lovie Smith was going to do an exceptional job at Houston. That's a problem. Nobody thought Cliff Kingsbury was going to survive the year either. Both of them kind of deserve to get fired. And I'm okay with that. But Carolina is in a situation where the right coach, and you cannot tell me with the right head coach, Carolina can't be an 11-12 win team, especially if Tom Brady's gone. Especially if they had, I mean, Sam Darnold's not exactly a stellar quarterback, but I think he's serviceable enough. So you have a choice, okay? Either I go out and I find me a coach that I think can win me double-digit games. I bring Wilkes back and see if he can be a better coach than he's shown once he has an entire offseason, plus the number 9 pick to come to it. And if he completely is a disaster, well, then I go get me the quarterback out of USC with my top 2 pick, and then I've got to go find me another coach. But I can't fire the lousy one that I've got. Do you see the problem here? They're in a no-win situation unless Wilkes just happened to be the second coming of Bill Belichick. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. So I need me an offensive mind. I need me a good offensive quarterback, and I think that's what they've got. They just got lucky that the Colts let him go stupidly because the Colts are a bad organization, who, by the way, are picking 4th. Great organizations don't pick 4th. Rebuilding organizations do. Organizations that need a quarterback do. Okay? So, am I happy about the Frank Reich hiring? When I didn't get Bill Johnson, pretty much everybody's on the table. I'm perfectly fine with it. If you listen to Cowherd's breakdown of it, I'm a little happier than I was before I listened to it. He's a big Frank Reich fan. And considering I thought Matt Rule was going to be a really good coach, I don't really know how to react it, but I'll take it. But that is my feelings. I'm happy that Frank Reich got the job over Steve Wilkes, and I'm hoping that the rumors that I'm hearing about Carolina trading up are false. And I really don't want Will Levis. But we'll see you next week, and y'all have a great weekend.